No one thought Married with Children would last when it first came out on TV. While critics didn't like it, the crowd couldn't get enough of it. Every week, the Bundy family turned chaos into comedy gold. The show quickly became one of the most talked about of its time. You could feel how well the cast got along, but the real shock isn't filmed. Some jokes almost didn't make it, scenes were saved by accident, you missed some goofs because you were laughing, and there was one truth. Ed didn't say anything until now. He finally tells fans what they missed. We're going to talk about the show, the cast, the chaos, and the secrets again. The show that didn't follow the rules. The show Married with Children ran from the 5th of April, 1987, to the 9th of June, 1997. It was made for the new Fox network by Michael G. Moy and Ron Leavitt. It was Fox's first show for prime time. It also ran for the longest time of any live-action comedy Fox has ever had. There were 259 episodes in 11 seasons of the show. The official run ended with an episode on May 5, 1997. Two shows that had not been shown before then showed up on the 9th of June, 1997, and the 18th of June, 2002. The story took place in Chicago and was about a loud, messy family that purposely caused pain and made people angry. The show wasn't clean and sweet. That was the point. The early title wasn't The Cosby Show. The message was easy to understand. Don't be like the perfect TV family. People in charge at Fox told the writers to be as crazy as they could be and do things that big networks wouldn't let them do. Fox employees weren't all sure. CEO Barry Diller wasn't sure. Even during the first run, reviews were mixed. The jokes were rude, sexual, and loud. People watched even though the family wasn't working well, because it felt real in a strange and funny way. Frank Sinatra sang the theme song, Love and Marriage by Sammy Cahn and Jimmy Van Houston. It had more than one joke in it. The song sounded smooth and warm, but the family didn't behave well. On the first day, that clash made the show stand out. People watched longer and saw more of the little things that made them laugh. That brings us to the people who made the chaos sound good. Ed O'Neill played Al Bundy, who was the center of attention inside the Bundy house. It was known as the Bundy curse by Al. He used to be good at football in high school but now had to sell shoes for women. 4 touchdowns scored in one game for Polk High School were his favorite memory. He held on to that win because afterward, nothing good seemed to happen. His job was awful. He didn't like his bills. He loved some easy things, though. He watched Dad movie. He kept a stash of big guns. He kept his old Dodge Dart from 1972, which had more than 1,000,000 miles on it. Al always had something bad to say, but he also looked out for his family when it counted. She wasn't willing to cook, clean, or work, and her name was Peggy Bundy. Katie Seagal played her. She loved talk shows and using Al's money to go on shopping sprees. Her jokes were about his job, his pay, and how bad he was at being sexual. She got the family into trouble and debt. Marky was her best friend, and the two of them often made Al's day worse. People on Peggy's mom's side of the family were crazy, and Al couldn't stand her. Christina Applegate played the daughter Kelly Bundy, who was pretty but not very smart. She quickly forgot things and got simple words mixed up. She dated guys who made Al crazy and made the family fights loud. The younger kid was Bud Bundy, who was played by David Fino. He was smarter, but he was crazy about girls, and most of the time his plans didn't work out. Kelly and Bud were always mean to each other, but when things got bad, they were there for each other. This mix of anger and loyalty helped the Bundy family feel like real people. They were little, they were rude, they were funny, and the next scene could go in any direction, which kept people laughing. The Bundys didn't live alone on that street, though, and what happened next door made the jokes even funnier. Everyone in the neighborhood pushed a button. The neighbor who always got into fights with Al was played by Amanda Bearers as Marcy Darcy, later to be known as Marcy Rhodes. The woman worked as a banker and cared about the environment. FG stands for Feminists Against Neanderthal Guys, which is what she started. Al fought back with his men's group, No Ma'am, which is the national group of men who are against Amazonian rule. Their fights never stopped and were very rough. Steve Rodas, played by David Garrison, was Marcy's first husband. He was a strict banker who loved his Mercedes-Benz and wouldn't let Martha drive it. They stopped seeing each other over time. He quit in season 4 to work as a forest ranger at Yosemite National Park. He later came back in The Egg and I and tried to go back to his old life, but Jefferson stopped him. After some power plays behind the scenes, Steve showed up as the head at Bud's college. Ted McKinley played Jefferson Darcy, Marcy's second husband. He was a con artist who talked his way into marriage. He didn't have a job or money, so he used his charm to get by. When trouble came, he kept Marcy's attention with his looks. In a few shows, there were hints but never proof that he used to work for the CIA. Jefferson, on the other hand, was lazy and fun, and for some reason, he became one of Al's best friends. Every episode of The Neighbor Story felt like a small war. Everything made Al and Marcy fight. Money, power, pride, and being a man or a woman. As they watched, Kelly and Bud made jokes. Peggy and Marcy were very happy as they stirred the pot. It was supposed to be messy, so it was. As the actors stoked the flame on screen, the way the show was made and moved behind the scenes kept it going strong. What fans missed from behind the scenes. The show's first 2 seasons were filmed in front of a studio crowd at the ABC TV Center in Los Angeles. The real laughs in the room made the time better. The recordings for seasons 3 through 8 took place at Sunset Gower Studios in Hollywood. From season 9 to season 11, the show moved again, this time to Sony Pictures Studios in Culver City. The pace did not slow down because of these changes. They kept the show fresh and helped it grow. It was also made by different people. At Embassy Communications, the show started. ELP Communications, which is part of Columbia Pictures Television, took over in the middle of season 2. It seemed like the machine behind the camera was always moving. For 10 years, that steady engine kept the Bundys on the air. At the beginning of every show, the happy theme of love and marriage played. The sound was nice, but it was just a joke because the Bundy house was not clean or nice. Both good and bad reviews were given the whole time. It was a dirty joke. The family was mean, but people kept coming back. They liked how honest the wrongness was. They liked how the show read the quiet part out loud. EW's list of new television classics for 2008, a long time after the last episode aired, put Married with Children at number 94. The Bundys were still important. The show was brought back to life in animation in May 2022. The story would continue, but in a different way. That tells you a lot about the show's past on TV. At first, it wasn't the Cosbys, but they told them to be brave, and it got through worries at the top of the company. It was Fox's first show in prime time and stayed on the air longer than any other live-action sitcom on the network. However, did you know that critics did not love the first season of Married with Children when it aired in 1987? From the start, people had different responses. Metacritic gave the first season a score of 58 out of 100, which means it got mixed reviews. The reviews of the first episode showed how different people felt about it. Howard Rosenberg of the Los Angeles Times said that the Bundy family was cast very well. He liked how the family worked, but he thought the people in Rhodes didn't grow enough. He also told people to be careful by saying that the satire is too harsh. At the same time, Tom Shales of the Washington Post watched the same show and said it was crude, overacted, and badly cast. The New York Times' John J. O'Connor was also very smart. He said the show was loud, rude, and life of the party rude. He even said it was like old TV shows like All in the Family and The Life of Riley. He made it clear, though, that he didn't think Married with Children was as good. For him, it was just plain blue-collar work with the usual bathroom jokes and sexual jokes. These early reviews gave a good picture. Some reviewers said the show was rough, cheap, and even rude. People started to find something funny and real in the Bundys, while they were blaming each other. That kind of response made it clear that the show would split people right away. And if critics thought there was too much content, they had no idea how crazy things were behind the scenes. This new book, The Wild Antics of Sam Kinison, is about a married man with kids. It tells some shocking stories from behind the scenes. Artist and comedian Sam Kinison was one of the craziest people to show up on set. In the 1980 seconds, he was already well known for being loud, crazy, and hard to guess. Sam was a guardian angel in season 4, but he was only in 2 shows. Sam made an impression on everyone who worked there that will last. Author Richard German showed how annoying Sam could be. Sam mooned the whole cast and team on his first day by taking off his trousers and showing his behind. To make up for being late on the second day, he brought strippers to the set. They fed the cast and crew lunch, which made the office look like a show. It didn't end there, though. Richard wrote that director Jerry Cohen and Sam were having a bad time. The tension got so bad that it was really scary. Sam pulled out a gun and said he would shoot Jerry at one point. It got so personal that Jerry thought Sam was cheating on his girlfriend with his girlfriend. He even went to Sam's house one night to see if she was there, but Sam pointed the gun at him. Further down the line, Richard wrote, Sam's attention-getting antics on stage made working with him difficult and showed me what it would be like to work with him regularly. These stories showed that even guest stars could make things crazy on set. It was once thought that Sam could play Al Bundy, and Roseanne Barr was first thought of as Peggy Bundy. As it turned out, Ed O'Neill and Katie Siegel got the jobs, and Michael Moy later said he was glad. So he put it, "We've never liked working with comedians because they come in already dressed up. What were we going to do? How should you teach Roseanne how to be a housewife? We were going to tell Sam Kinison what to do? There would be fights all the time. The cast we chose was the best one to keep the show going. Once the lines and guest stars were too much and Sam left the stage, the drama outside of the show had just begun. There were protests, backlash, and more secrets. A lot of people didn't like Married with Children at first. People all over the country were angry at its jokes about sex, family fights, and bad behavior. Some people really liked it, while others didn't want it to happen. It was a woman from Michigan called Terry Ralta who spoke out against it the most. She was furious because she and her kids watched an episode that had jokes about vibrators. She started going on talk shows and telling people to stop watching the show. She even got in touch with Fox on her own. She was linked to show writer Marcy Vosberg at one point. A fight broke out between them, and Marcy told her she could change the channel if she thought the show was so offensive. In retrospect, Terry said she thought she was talking to a Fox executive instead of a writer. She might have done something different if she had known, but the damage was already done. Terry's boycott didn't hurt the show. It only brought it more attention. Some people who hadn't seen the show before watched it to see what all the fuss was about. It was like free promotion because of the bad press. And it was that bad writing and sometimes offensive humor that set Married with Children apart from all the other sitcoms of the time. The trouble only made it more well-known. The new book also said that Ed O'Neill's agents told him it was a bad show on a sketchy new network when they first asked him to try out. but Ed loved the story after reading it. Christina Applegate remembered how she felt at first too. She said that at first, the script made her sick, but after seeing the pilot episode, she changed her mind. People who were in the show had to be persuaded that it was worth their time. But the magic was clear as soon as they got into character. Still, not every friendship on set was easy. The fight between Ed O'Neill and Amanda Bears. Fans of Married with Children thought for years that the group was one big family, both on and off screen. In January 2024, Ed O'Neill said that this wasn't always the case. He said on Jesse Tyler Ferguson's podcast, Dinner's on Me, that he had a long-lasting fight with Amanda Bears, who played his neighbor Marcy. I did something on the show with Amanda Bears that I felt bad about, he said. We used to get along, but not anymore. Ed had a reason. The fight began at a very important time for the cast, the photo shoot for TV Guide's cover. At that time, there were limits on how many group members could see the cover. They told Amanda and David Garrison, who played Steve Rodas, that they couldn't be a part of it. As the leader, they thought Ed would fight for them. After getting ready, Amanda and David met him in the hallway and asked him to talk to co-creator Ron Levitt about including everyone in the group. Ed said no. He told them we were lucky to get it. The cover of TV Guide made us so happy. It was like the 6th year in a row. He said to Amanda, no, I'm not going to do that. He admits he was direct. I'm sorry that you two aren't on the cover. I really am. We're not able to help you, but I wish you were. What do you want me to do? Lie to you and say I'll look out for you? I'm not. Ed now says he feels bad about how he handled it. He knew he should have been nicer and at least pretended to try, but he was afraid that if they pushed the issue too far, they would lose the cover. The fight went on for years, and Ed even yelled in public in 2010 when Amanda didn't ask him to her wedding so he could carry Schenken. What began with a magazine cover turned into one of the biggest fights in the cast. It showed that the fights in the Bundy world did not end when the cameras stopped running. There were more cracks than just that one. Behind the jokes, the set could feel dangerous and sharp. That's clear from the cast's stories. A set where no one was safe. Fans thought the Bundy family was funny, crazy, and outlandish, but the stars say that life behind the scenes wasn't always fun. Katie Siegel, who played Peggy Bundy, and her husband Kurt Sutter talked about this on their show. We were a sarcastic and cynical bunch, she said. You were in danger. You really turned your back. Someone is going to talk about you. It was okay for Christina Applegate, who played Kelly Bundy, to join the podcast. She remembered hearing people say bad things about her while she was just a few steps away. On the monitor, I could hear people talking about Saints in my changing room. She told me that I could hear everyone on set talking about me after coming up from practice. Wow, I was just there 20 seconds ago, I thought. The experience was rough for a young performer. When she worked on one of the most popular shows in America, she said it was hard to deal with the herd of gossip. Segal said that everyone in the group was brutally honest with each other, but Applegate was hurt by being picked on. Fans laughed at the Bundys on TV, but their stories showed that things could get much worse behind the scenes. Because of all that stress, Christina soon felt bad in ways she hid for years. The silent struggles of Christina Applegate. Later, Christina Applegate talked about how the show made her feel as a teen. She said that the attention put on her made her develop a dangerous eating problem. In an interview on her Me podcast, she said, "Playing that character did some bad things to my mind, like giving me anorexia." She said it was a pretty bad eating disorder that had been going on for a long time. She said that at the time, she didn't tell anyone about it. She would hide just to eat instead. In order to eat, I would hide in bathrooms because I felt so bad about it, she said. She remembered even being on planes with the group when they went to other countries. She said, I remember hiding in there to eat one prawn because I was afraid that if anyone saw me eating, they'd think I was trying to gain weight or something. I'm not sure. It was really dark where I was. Katie Siegel was there for her during that podcast episode and said that Applegate had been through a lot on the show. It was said that her young co-star was seen as a sex symbol, even though the show started when she was only 17. Seal said that that much pressure could mess up anyone's head. She continued, Chrissy was very much scrutinized and tried to keep in a box, so they put her in tighter skirts and shorter skirts, so there was a lot of that. As part of the show's provocative humor, Applegate wore clothes that changed how people saw her. However, Applegate later said that some of those clothes were her idea, making Kelly Bundy new. Applegate said that Kelly Bundy wasn't the same in the first movie as what people remember her as today. Kelly used to be a tough biker girl in the first draft. But Christina saw something else, a character in the 1981 film The Decline of Western Civilization, Part 2. The metal years gave her ideas. She told the people who work in clothes. She wore a white lycra dress and had big hair. Applegate came back. I then told the wardrobe staff, we're going to change this. We had to show what people think about this rock video vixen trend going on in the world right now, where all the women and men look the same. They both have the same hairstyle. That's where she came from. Kelly became the naive, over-the-top girl that fans loved because of her vision. Still, the choice came with a lot of weight. Being the show's sex symbol meant that you were always being watched and expected to do well. Christina was quietly going through her own problems while everyone laughed. Segal agreed that the whole situation was very sexist, and Applegate's own pain made that clear. The part made her popular, but it also left scars that she had to live with for a long time. But while Christina's story showed the bad side of fame, Ed O'Neill's story about how fans saw the show, and him as Al Bundy, showed a different kind of truth. Ed O'Neill on being famous without being respected. Ed O'Neill will always be associated with Al Bundy, the grumpy shoe salesman who made people laugh for 11 seasons. However, O'Neill said that people never wanted to see themselves in the character. O'Neill told Jesse Tyler Ferguson on the Dinners on Me podcast how fans usually got in touch with him. Also, he said it was the kind of show that no one liked to say they liked. Let's say you do 260 shows. A lot of people will tell you if they liked the show. Most of the time, they wouldn't come around if they didn't. People would say things like, you remind me of my brother if they liked it. You make me think of my uncle. You never make me think of them, but of my dad and my best friend. Nobody ever said, you remind me of me, which made me laugh. His laugh told the tale. People found Al Bundy funny, but they didn't want to say that they lived like he did. It was clear that he was rude, lazy, and angry. That space made the show more interesting and different from other comedies at the time, which fans liked. Even though the show was a hit, O'Neill said that Hollywood insiders didn't think much of it. He simply replied, it was a success, but it wasn't respected by my peers. Millions of people watched the show for 11 seasons, but O'Neill knew it had a bad reputation for being crude and lowbrow. The awards never showed up, and reviewers kept calling it tasteless. Still, people laughed all the time. That was the strange truth for Ed O'Neill. People really liked him, but the business didn't care about him. The show made characters that people will remember, but it also carried the pain, rumors, and secrets of the stars who lived it, the day someone outside of the family told them. Ed O'Neill says he didn't feel any warmth when he learned that Married with Children was canceled. This message is not from the network or a producer. It is from a stranger. He talked about it on the podcast Messy with Christina Applegate and Jamie Lynn Sigler. At his hometown, he was staying at a small bed and breakfast. It was springtime. The garden looked lovely. Then a car pulled up with "Just Married" written on the back and tin cans clanking. The two people left. She wore a dress and he wore a tux. The groom saw Ed and said, "Oh my God, it's Al Bundy in Ohio." Ed gave her a smile and said, "Good job, you got married." Then the mood changed. Ed asked, "What do you mean?" To which the groom replied, "We're so sorry about your show." "Oh my God, he has no idea. You can hear it on the radio. You lost your job." That must have been weird to hear after 10 years as Al Bundy. Ed was shocked but didn't say anything mean. Even better, he drank champagne with the newlyweds. They heard him say, "I'd rather hear it from you." He went inside again and tried to enjoy the day. He still liked champagne a lot. They had been following a working-class Chicago family, Al, Peggy, Kelly, and Bud, since 1987. That was the end of a long run. Even though things were crazy at the Bundy house, the show made people laugh. What hurt, though, was how the group found out it was over. Ed wasn't the only one who felt caught off guard by how the news got around. Kate Hudson says she also didn't get a call. She found out about the cancellation through a series of people. A person who knew a person who used to work for my helper. "That's how I found out," she said. "They didn't call us. There was no last meeting or personal note. There were only rumors." After years of work and stress in the spotlight, it hurt. She had already talked about how hard those years could be. Many people saw her because she was young and well-known. Everyone knew her because of the show, but it also brought a lot of stress. She had talked before about how hard it was and how the attention made her go to dark places. She did show up, though. She gave Kelly Bundy fans what they remember. She found out about the end in a way that was similar to how viewers did, like a rumor, not a goodbye. One more thing Ed said showed how cold it was. He said that the network never sent him a gift for his last show. He made fun of what other casts got. I replied, "I thought the Golden Girls got Mercedes-Benzes when they did their last show," which they did. He then said, "Never got a gift. Even though it was small, it meant a lot." There was no goodbye, rap, bow, or gesture after 11 seasons of hard work and a popular figure. There was just silence. Some memories stayed with me even after the shock of the cancellation. The fans kept coming up to Ed to give him secret praise. It was always my brother, my dad, or my best friend. Both the pain and the joy of what it gave were there. That's the picture Ed and Christina really made. A hit that people still see. A goodbye that didn't really feel like goodbye. And the truth about being famous on TV, people don't always treat you with respect. And just when you think that's the last twist, there's one more question. How did they hear other things before the rest of us did? What do you think? Leave your thoughts in the box below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more amazing stories from the past of Hollywood. Have a nice trip.